We all know scissors are for pussies.
Hello everyone and welcome to The Deep Drop, a fishing podcast that asks lots of questions and tries its very hardest to give some sort of answer in some weird way, shape or form. But we have a crack. My name's Luke McCredden and with me as always Adam Ring. And I'm getting more and more lost for words when it comes to describing this podcast.
Yeah, because I think with every episode that we do, we kind of make less sense in a positive way.
Yeah.
It's probably the easiest way to try and put words to it.
But we have a lot of fun doing it.
We do. Yeah, we do. And I think every now and then a little gem pops up. Let's just say that.
What I love about it is if we might hit a topic and have a conversation, and when we look back, we sort of go, what were we talking about? But then the beautiful thing is then we'll get a message from someone on Instagram saying, here's my thoughts. And you go, yes, the conversation wasn't a complete disaster. It's actually getting through. And I think we can't underestimate our listeners enough. So get involved. I love it. We love everything about it.
Yeah, get involved. It's one of the special things about this beautiful industry that we've been involved in for a long time,
yeah,
Luke. For every answer you get, it spawns another 5 or 6
yes.
questions.
Yeah, and a great example of that, Ads, was we spoke about spinnerbaits last week.
Yes,
and
we did.
I really want to start seeing how they go in saltwater applications, and we got a lot of feedback, and some have done it, some want to have it a go, and others just had some thoughts on how they think it would go, and overall it was pretty positive sort of feedback. So I'm really keen to hear in the coming months as we really, certainly in the southern part of Australia, really get in some prime fishing weather and conditions. I'd love to hear someone having a bit of a crack, whether it be flathead or snapper, or it's on brim or perch or whatever it is. I think I'd really be keen to hear it, and I think there could be some success stories.
Yeah, well, through some of the feedback on Instagram, Luke, where we had one keen listener had caught brim on them, another had been getting towed up on rock walls but by potentially jacks, not just getting roasted that hard, couldn't see, and that was in northern New South Wales. The brim thing in the estuaries, I think that's interesting because I didn't think brim would be super susceptible to eating him. I thought there'd be just a little bit too much going on, so that was a really positive, really positive sign.
Yeah, and even just jumping onto Instagram while we're doing it, and we ask the question, and for anyone listening who is new here or isn't across what we do, sometimes we do throw a lot of these questions on Instagram as tiles, and we encourage your feedback because it's great to see and hear. But yeah, like even some of the comments, John at the Jig Man, he loves doing it at the right time, and Borno has tried them and caught both flatties and pinkies on them. Nice. Some suggestions that they'd be really good on barra in the salt.
Ooh, impoundment barra, think they'd be pretty sweet.
Yep. And now this one was interesting. I actually forgot about this. I'm just looking at it now. Jim Bold on Instagram said a bloke used to make them in Noosa, large ones designed to be trolled with a live bait attached to the bottom with blades above it. Now, I think we went back and forth, and he was going to have a look and see if he could find some of the results, but I think that's opening up because effectively there's kind of a teaser element to that, isn't there?
Yeah. So is that saying that was essentially just a modified spinnerbait, say with no skirt on it, but a live bait hook that was easy, or was it like an attachment?
It looks like it's trolled with a live bait attached to the bottom, so it could be potentially where you might typically run a soft plastic or or something like that. So the blades are well and truly above it, and there's the live bait sort of rigged under it. I love it.
That's pretty cool.
Do you know? And just even thinking about that, instantly thinking about yellowtail kingfish.
Oh, kings! So surely,
yeah,
flashing bits of metal or brass or whatever they use for the actual blades.
Yeah,
that would get a kingy's attention from miles away. Crystal clear water, sun, but that would catch that much light.
Oh yeah, wouldn't it? And we love these species, but they're a bit dumb sometimes. They love a bit of a flash in the water.
Flashing lights.
Anyway, but yeah, so great feedback there. So we highly encourage it. If anyone hears anything they want to comment on throughout the show or previous episodes, jump on in or shoot us a message if you want to do it privately. So it's fantastic to hear. So loving it. So I've been head down, bum up, going through a lot of that this week, Ads. It's been a big week, mate. What have you been up to?
I've been on the road visiting what feels like every tackle shop in Victoria, which is awesome. Awesome. And a bit of a common theme I've noticed. I've been doing a lot of the stores around the freshwater areas.
Yep.
And the talk on redfin is just insane, to the point where I think there's something going on in central Victoria that I never knew existed. I never knew was as big as what it is. Obviously, I knew redfin were there. I had no concept of just how loved that species is. I'm starting to think that they are more loved and sought after than cod and yellow belly combined.
Wow, that's a statement.
Yeah, so there's been an insane bite on reddies. Since the floods last year, the reddy populations have just exploded.
So I must admit, I certainly in the last couple of weeks seen a fair influx of redfin reports and posts and videos and photos and whatever. And not only that, I've actually seen some absolute donkeys. They're big fish getting around too. We know, there's plenty of them around, and but that's a big statement, mate.
I had no idea it was this big. No idea.
So what's the attraction, do you think? Because obviously there's such a fashion in the cod scene and has been for quite a few years now. Yellow belly, golden perch, they never get the glamour sort of vibe, but they're certainly a highly sought after species. But so what do you think it is?
I think it's a combination of a few things. I think how accessible they are. You can catch them anywhere, and if you find them and they're on the go, you will catch hundreds of them.
Yeah, that's fair.
So when it comes to a family species, whether it's getting the kids fishing or something where you maybe don't get to fish often, but you've got high reward potential just in numbers, they're amazing to eat. So better than a cod and a yellow belly anyway. And they can be caught on heaps of different methods, whether it be live bait, dead bait, plastics, spoons, hard bodies. They're kind of one of those species. I think, Luke, we did a segment on one of the episodes a little while ago based around Australian salmon, and we were making the case for salmon that they should be one of the premier sports fish because of those exact reasons. Apart from the fact they're probably not as great to eat as a reddy, but you had the accessibility, the numbers, and the vast array of methods you can use to catch them.
Yep.
I think the redfin is kind of the upgrade of that in the freshwater.
Yeah, nice. And they look cool.
They do look cool. And it's interesting to me because I don't know much about this fishery that's been happening sort of in central Vic or in the freshwater parts of Victoria. There's method to it too. You can get into it as hardcore or as not hardcore as you want. You can go to Parramatta and pull up on a tree and just catch 100 pan-sized reddies, or you can head to some of the other impoundments. And in the winter, which we're in right now, you can still catch reddies. They're not as thick, but they're bigger. So if you're looking for a genuine 40 centimetre plus reddy, now's the time to be fishing for them. So there's heaps there. You can fish for them all year round.
Yeah.
There's plenty of them.
There's plenty of upside for sure. And even just like the fact now that people are, they've made the social media cut reddies, haven't they? Because if people catch a decent one, they're showing them off. And rightly so. They're an amazing looking fish. And they are. When you're catching those really solid ones with the sort of the big shoulders, and they're quite thick fish, they're a great looking fish and a great catch. Just looking at a post from our good friend of the show, Michael Moore. He's been out on the reddies recently. Maury, I've seen him getting amongst it. At one point, he was up to his neck in water. I don't know what he was doing, but anyway, he managed to get some really solid reddies. And yeah, again, like they are a really nice looking fish, and it's not like they're easy, but they're very available to catch.
Yeah, that's right. And you can, if you generally find them, they're one of those species you can get plagued by keyring size fish. But again, if you've got kids around, at least something's happening. But that falls into like what I was saying earlier. You can take that fishery as serious or as not serious as you want, and you can progress all the way through.
Yeah.
And learn heaps, catch heaps.
I don't want to put a downer on it. These are an introduced species.
Well, technically, they're classed noxious.
They are. I was going to ask that. So are they to be removed from our waterways? Is that the rule? Have we? I feel like we've spoken about this before on the show.
Yeah, I think it's not a hard written rule like it is, say, with European carp, where they have to be disposed of no matter what.
Hashtag Carpathon24.
100%. Hashtag that. Get it going. It's like they're noxious, but they're kind of cool to catch and they look good and they taste good. So we're just going to turn this way and forget.
Yeah, but you know what? If they taste good and they're big enough, then you're kind of removing them from the waterway anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the big thing. It's actually nice to have a species, and I mean this in the most respectful way possible, where the first thought is that you take them home and for a feed, not just to kill them for the sake of killing them because they're a pest or because you just want a photo of a trophy or...
Yep. No, it's good.
It's actually one of the fish that's easily harvested, and you're doing a good thing.
So just to, obviously you're on the road, you're heavily involved in the tackle industry ads. What are you seeing as far as trends towards gear? I'm going to say gear, but what I mean is like lures specifically. I mean, it's pretty straightforward when it comes to rods and reels. I'm assuming there's nothing overly, there's nothing coming out of Japan specifically for redfin.
No.
Sorry, Reddies, but you haven't reached that level yet.
Yeah. It's maybe not so much based around redfin specifically, but I think there's a little bit of a change happening in general in the recreational fishing and fishing gear sector at the moment. And we're starting to see a swing back towards soft plastics.
Love it.
They took a little bit of a backseat for a while. We went through a big boom in soft plastics 10, 15 years ago where they exploded and everything was great. And then that slowly died off and we went through another hard body craze, whether that was on big swim baits for cod, whether that was through the blade craze in the estuaries for bream and perch, whether that was the small crank style, the lipless cranks for the yellers. We just went through this patch where hard bodies were the it in a bit. And then through the cod scene, we saw the change from a jointed hard body swim bait to a plastic swim bait.
Yep.
And this is why this industry is the best thing ever. There is nothing new about an oversized soft plastic.
No.
It's just now we're learning through the popularity of a species, we're learning how good they are. So it breeds a new wave. So if you compare, say, an 8-inch paddle tail soft plastic from 15 years ago, and there was plenty of them around, compared to what you can buy now, you see this really crazy development in soft plastic technology, whether it's pre-rigged stuff, just the finish from whether it's it's almost like a realistic print over the top or just really intelligent injection molding, multiple colors, scent infused. There's all these different things that are happening in soft plastics, and that's starting to make its way into the small market again too.
Fucking
so
great.
I think we're starting to see soft plastics become the actual lure of choice again.
The hero
whereas
again.
The last little bit, it's taken a back seat to hard bodies for a little while.
You know, you mentioned before, like the metal vibe, the metal blade sort of thing. Is that... Are many people doing the metal blade thing anymore? Because I'll just put it straight out there. I fucking hated it. I didn't like
did
it.
you?
I didn't like it.
I loved it.
I don't like them.
I loved it. And it has got, which I think we've mentioned before on the show too, it has got this persona about it that it's boring and that it's easy. But I think more than what's happened, I put them now in the same class as squid jigs. I put them in the same class as bigger lures. We go through these crazes where we understand how good they are and we learn really quickly how to use them and in what situations to use them, which of course is going to lead to more captures. But then what happens, it's easy to sit back and think the craze has gone, they're over. But I think what happens, they settle into just being a staple, everyday part of the industry. So if you're a lure fisherman, you're gonna have a selection of metal blades. Whereas when the craze was going, you had to have every metal blade.
Yeah, it had a whole box full of them.
That's right. But as it progresses and we learn how to use them and we know when to use them, what time of year and in what situation, they just become a staple.
Yeah.
So as a brim fisherman in winter, I have a couple of compartments of metal lures. I went through the craze and bought 3 of every single one I could find. I know which ones I like. And then now with the added element of social media, you can see what everybody else likes.
Yep.
So you get a little shortcut to which ones behave the best in certain situations.
True.
You have your favourites for your local waterways, and they're just part of it now.
You know what I miss? A stiffy vibe.
Oh, they were possibly one of the most unbelievably good, frustrating lures ever.
Yeah.
Because they would catch so many fish.
They would.
And they would have caught twice as many if they didn't foul all the time.
Yeah, true. Yeah, because they were set up slightly different to what we probably are used to seeing now. Though I mean, same, but different.
What made them so good?
Yeah, and they also came and went with what seemed like overnight. It was a shame.
And all blades foul up. They get munched a little bit, and they start sitting a little bit awkward. They foul. That's just what vibes do. But the stiffy vibe that had the plastic back was its greatest asset, but also its biggest downfall.
Yeah.
But man, they worked.
Yeah. Can you imagine how many boat hulls have been smashed with metal vibes over the years?
Oh.
Like how many casts you just sort of go, oh, there's a bit too much heat on it. You just crack into a fiberglass hull.
Especially early in a session when you hadn't got you're like, oh, that's a little bit heavier than
your fingers are still a bit cold and you just sort of let go, or your cast just really hooks in and it's just cracking into a fiberglass hull. You just do the look around and make sure there's no one there.
Yeah. No one heard that.
Move on. Yeah, no, fair enough. I mean, it just one of those things, and I reckon every angler's got one that just there's a lure or a whatever it is. It's just, I don't know, just never did it for me. Oh, it was probably because I was shit at it. I don't know, maybe I was doing something wrong. I mean, I caught fish on metal blades, don't get me wrong, but it was just, I don't know, maybe it was a bit dull.
I don't know.
I'm also a big fan of, and I'm a sucker, and I'll absolutely put my hand up for it, of cool looking lures, and I never really saw one that looked cool.
I don't know. I thought there were some pretty good ones around, but maybe that's just because early on I had a couple of those ridiculous sessions where everything goes right.
Yeah.
I remember fishing at Bem one year. All the fish were scored up in the middle of the lake, and if we were literally catching a fish a cast. The only time we didn't catch one is because it was fouled, and it wasn't fair. And it wasn't fouled because
your stiffy
they were
got
just
all mixed
being
up.
annoying. They were getting hit and fouled. Like, it was ridiculous. The fishing was so good.
Yeah. Good times. Good times. I wanted to put something to you tonight, which I guess is a very common debate, I would imagine, but I don't think we've really touched on it on the deep drop. And this is one where I really want to involve the listeners and the followers and our friends out there that we really appreciate that come along for the ride in this deep drop craziness journey ads. But I want also some context behind answers out there. When you see it on Instagram or you want to flick us a message, give us some context as to why you are yes or no on this. Scent or no scent? Ooh. I know, it's very broad and very...
How have we not covered this already?
I don't know. And I actually went through the topics of shows the other day and we haven't done a specific straight up scent or no scent. Now, give it some context for the listeners' ads. If maybe there's some people out there listening who aren't necessarily lure anglers or have even mucked around with the idea of scents.
Yeah. No sense on this show, mate.
It makes no sense. Obviously, yeah, it's an additive to your lures.
Yeah, it's probably been most widely accepted in the soft plastic market again, but has been used on everything from soft plastics to vibes, to squid jigs, to metal slices, to you name it. It's been used. I'd even know of some scent that was around a little while ago that you used to soak your pippies in. So it's not new. Like, it's not a new thing. I'm going to say yes.
You are
I'm a scent enthusiast.
You're pro scent.
Pro scent. But I'm going to put an asterisk next to it because it's only within one application. Yep. So I've really only mucked around with it in like light soft plastics in an estuary situation for bream estuary perch.
Yep.
And I never start with scent on a plastic.
Interesting.
But if I'm struggling, I'll put it on, and it's not a coincidence that you'll at least get a hit within 4 or 5 casts of putting scent on.
And I think you touched on the fact that it's not new, and I think that's a really important thing to say because fact of the matter is it's got so many runs on the board now that you could fairly confidently say it has an impact. Yeah. So I'm pro scent, but again, I'm probably not as I'm probably not as full on it when it comes to applying it every second cast or whatever it is. I'll certainly.
I don't think you need to though.
No, I'll certainly chuck it on and then every now and then I'll reapply. So I'm not probably too full on in that regard, but I definitely think it's impactful. And there's actually lots of different scents on the market now. I think early on there was pretty much, from memory, it might have only been S Factor that was really, really around. There were a couple. No, there were a couple of.
I guess the first one that I can remember that really took off, you couldn't buy on its own, and it's Gulp.
Well, yeah, that's a good point actually. Yep.
Because it's worked forever, and you can now buy it on its own. But yeah, S Factor was a big one, and this is the thing. I will gladly put my name to it and say they all work because there is science behind it. The modern ones. Remember when it used to be just a little bit of garlic? You know what I mean? Or aniseed or...
There were the little bottles that we used to sell, and they were, aniseed or garlic or... what was the other one? I can't remember it now. It tasted... I didn't taste it. It smelt horrific. But yeah, you're right. I mean, there's tubes and little jars of all sorts of different stuff you can get now, and I think that's a fair call. I think they probably all work. And look,
they all work because they've actually been... It's come a lot further than just a garlic scent works on fish. There's science behind it. They've got pheromones in them that trigger feeding. They've got
kids in them. Kids in a factory tasting each one of them before they go out.
Making sure they don't taste like ass. Like it's actually a legit thing, and it's good because it means you can't really go wrong.
No, that's right. And you haven't lived until you've wiped some S Factor on your mate's shirt. Yeah,
and I can guarantee everybody's tasted whatever scent they want because, when you say you bust off a plastic or you need to change a plastic or you want to up or downsize your jig head.
Yeah.
Like, we all know scissors are for pussies. So everyone just bites it off. And, I don't advocate it. It's bad for you. But,
But then you get
never
a mouthful of
S Factor or Gulp Juice or Procure, whatever it may be.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Everyone can, and you can. Yeah, I can almost taste it now just talking about it. It lingers for a while, and you wash that down with whatever you can. But I think again, like calling for some feedback. But what I would love to hear from anyone out there is not only, where do you sit with it? I actually am interested to hear from people that refuse to use it. Maybe they've got a reason, they just don't think they need it, or they've got enough evidence that it doesn't help them, which is awesome. I'd love to hear all that too. But I'm also curious to hear from those who add it to things like squid jigs. I know people that have smothered like metal jigs.
I was just about to ask you, in your experience in the blue water side of things, have you ever used it, whether it be on a vertical jig for kings, which I know you've done plenty of in the past, or is there a little group around it that'll use it in that application?
Yeah, I haven't used it on. I'm a bit the same as you in that I haven't used it on anything other than probably, the lighter side of soft plastic fishing in estuaries and whatever. But yeah, I definitely have heard of people that use it on, or have used it. I don't know how regularly, but have used it on knife jigs for kingfish, or vertical jigs for kingies and Samson fish and that sort of thing, which I find really interesting. But I guess it's that whole thing of it leaves that bit of a trail behind or whatever it is. So it makes sense, but you go through a lot of scent.
Yeah, especially if you've got to bust out a 180 gram jig that could be 200 mil long. Yeah. It's a lot of surface using a tube per lure.
Really lathering that up.
So do you reckon, does tuna oil, in your opinion, does that count as a scent? Like if you were to just grab a 4-litre bottle of tuna oil and just teabag your vertical jig in it and then drop it, does that still count?
I guess. just drop it. Just dunk it in like an Oreo.
Just drop it in and get it done.
Maybe. I mean, it would probably wash off pretty quick. I don't know. Make a bit of a blend. See what happens. Tuna oil, discuss. Like, wow. I can still just taste. I know it's obviously still a go-to oil for burley for lots and lots of anglers, but it's just something that I just feel like it just reminds me of my childhood whenever I smell it. Yeah. I was always the one to do the burley mixes. Oh.
Yeah, just earning a spot on the fishing team when you got to do burley.
Fair enough. I had to work hard for it. Yeah, but I don't know. Like there's but then if you use tuna oil offshore, what does a tuna think?
It's a good question.
It smells like my dad.
Something's going on here. It's not quite right.
Yeah,
that's a great question.
What about freshwater scent?
That's where aniseed really made a name for itself. I think it may have even been so popular at one point that it was banned from some fishing competitions. Now, I could be getting that confused with the European... yeah, the European carp scene, how they all lose their minds for junk carp. I may be getting confused there that aniseed was not allowed in those, or if it was for a trout thing down here. But forever, aniseed has been the go-to in a freshwater sense.
And I'm completely open to allowing that for Carpathon 24, by the way, aniseed.
I'm thinking of maybe just using a bottle of aniseed for bait.
Just tipping it in.
Yeah.
just I'm not even a bottle, just like a bucket.
Yeah.
But I am curious with the freshwater thing whether, something like S Factor or Gulp Gel,
it'd have to, wouldn't it?
Or is it scientifically sort of designed for salt? I'm not sure. But if you're, and even drilling down into species, like have you ever put any scent on a tea-tail minnow when you're fishing for trout, for example?
I haven't.
No, me either.
I haven't. That's really weird. Yet if I was fishing for a tea-tail minnow for brim, I would.
You would, yeah. And
what happened? Would you externally scent a gulp?
No, that's a great one. I was going to ask that as well. No, I wouldn't.
Okay, but then, all right, so what about, like a lot of the soft plastics on the market are pre-scented, like they have a shrimp scent or a whatever. Because you open a pack of squidgies and it stinks. Yeah. Or the old ones used to, yet we'd still scent them.
Yeah, but I feel like when you get a gulp plastic out, it's dripping. It's completely
you don't even
caked.
Touch it, and that shit always ends up all over the bottom of the tackle bag. Doesn't matter how good you seal it.
I've spoken to you about this before, not on this show, off air. That I refuse to bring an open packet of gulp plastics home because you forget whether you put them, and then you'll find them a month or two later, and Jesus Christ,
it's gone through everything.
Everything.
Yeah,
it's ruined lives.
Yeah.
It's I've thrown out tackle bags, like legitimately, because it's gone through, it's just made a complete mess, and I've just thrown them out.
I put that into the category of stuff in the fishing industry where it's a crying shame that they work so well.
Oh, it is still my most used soft plastic.
Yeah.
No doubt. And I won't stop using it. Can't stop, won't stop.
Yeah, it's a shame it's works so good.
It's,
I put Braid in that category too. It's a shame it's so
it's a
good.
shame it's so
just
good.
a fucking nightmare to deal with.
It is. I thought of you the other day, and I thought of all our listeners the other day because I expressed my frustration recently in an episode about win knots.
Yeah.
And I was having a cast down the beach, and I just saw it. You know, as you're winding back in, you just went, "What's that?" Oh.
Yeah. Is that wheat? Oh,
I went home.
Because you try and get cute with it, and then it doesn't come out. So you just give it a little, and it just snaps instantly.
Yep. So you know what I did? You know what I actually did? I thought I've only got probably another halfer. I didn't even touch it.
I know. Oh, you just left it.
I just left. I didn't because I'm like, I've got half an hour. If I snap this now, I'm not tying on another litre.
Oh, that's not what I thought you were going to say.
What do you think I was going to say?
Just do a back-to-back uni in the Braid.
Nah. Oh, that's not bad though. But nah, I just thought if I touch this, and it wasn't causing me grief. It wasn't. It was
going to though. It was going to get bigger.
Oh no, it was, and I just figured if I've only got another half hour or so to have a bit of a flick, I'm just going to push through. If I go to pull it out now, it'll snap, and I'll contemplate: do I tie another litre on, or do I just go home?
Nah, back-to-back uni the Braid.
Fair enough. But it just it does that, and then it plays on your mind, and the rest of the time you're fishing, you're going, well,
I'm going to get a good one now. I'm just going to ping there,
and then I'll question everything,
fishing in general,
life. All right, so scent or no scent, let us know. Jump on the Deep Drop Instagram page, find the tile. Yeah, completely open to hearing it all. And again, so we've covered a few things that I'd love to hear about. Freshwater, yay or no?
Yeah, I'm real keen on that one.
Do you reapply to gulp?
Yes, yeah.
That's good. One. And just in general, like how do you feel about it? What do you use it for? Do you use it for anything other than... And I'm not saying that they're designed just for soft plastics, but I think that's kind of where it was sort of developed.
I want to hear from the blue water fishers out there. Do you scent anything?
Do you rub your stick bait? I mean, do you put scent on your stick bait? Does anyone do that with topwater lures or jigs or whatever it is? I think let us know. It'd be good. And if you've got a story if you've got a success story or a fail story, let us know if you want, and we can put that baby to wear.
Oh, I'd love to hear from those that were smacking fish, put scent on them and couldn't catch them anymore.
Yes. Yep.
Wonder if that's ever happened.
Maybe you teabagged some tuna oil and that was the end of the day.
Maybe. Yeah, because you teabagged your vertical jig in tuna oil and a mako ate it and just bit the thing off.
Yeah. So there's plenty there. I think I'm looking forward to hearing about that.
Oh, scent is a great topic of conversation. Yeah. I can't believe
it. Is there one that you above everything else? Because I know there's a lot of sort of niche ones now, ads. They're scientifically made up. They're in little jars, and there's all sorts of sort of. And I'll say this with the utmost respect, like backyarders doing this sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's right. Has anyone got their own concoction? Ooh.
Well, I know of a few that, and I honestly I would name them. I just can't think of the names, but I do know of a few because a few mates have used it, and it's not a mass-produced product, but they absolutely swear by it. They reckon it is magic. I'll find out the name, and we'll bring it up next week.
Ooh, for those that have a recipe, feel free to send that over. I'd try that.
Yeah,
make one up and
let's do it. I've had a few before we wrap up, ads. I have had a few suggestions on some kayak fishing adventures, so we might jump into that next week, or we might expand on that next week as to some of the suggestions we've got for some kayak fishing. Not all silly.
So have any of them got you going? Ooh, yeah, that's a good one. I'll put that on the list. What are you leaning towards? What are you leaning towards?
I was thinking when we put this out there that for some reason I had in my head that there'd be more suggestions around things like in the bays, like snapper and whatever, given that we're sort of leading into that time of year. But some of the suggestions that I've come across thus far that have really tickled me have been more around bass,
nice,
perch,
nice,
even reddies. We should do a reddy trip.
Reddy bash.
Reddy bash.
Par and bait.
Okay.
Par and bait.
So I still haven't made the maiden voyage yet. It is happening very soon. We've got some nice weather actually.
I've physically got a list of things that you and I need to do at Par and Bait. I've decided that Par and Bait is one of the greatest, least spoken about, untapped resources in fishing at the moment. I think there's potential for so much cool shit.
Lake Purrumbete. Is this a crater lake?
It is.
Because very early on in the deep drop, you and I both expressed our hatred towards crater lakes.
Yeah, I know. But through recent developments,
I shouldn't say hatred. It was more just we couldn't be bothered with them, but it was also based on the fact that we'd done very little in them. So.
Yeah. I haven't done any. I've only ever fished Purrumbete once. I've done a bit at Woolloomooloo.
You and I are very quick to jump ship. And
100%.
Unashamedly.
I'm very easily swayed.
I'll change my mind for cash.
Yeah. And I think maybe that is because I'm very quick to form an opinion before I've done anything.
Before you even think. Like, that is shit. Oh, wait, hang on.
Talk first, try later. That's my motto.
Yeah, I don't mind. I think it's a deep drop motto. We might actually put that on the next run of merch.
Talk first, facts later.
I love that. Oh man! All right. On that note, I think we wrap up, mate. I have had a ball tonight. Thank you very much. But more importantly, thank you to the listeners very much for giving us your time once again. Thank you very much for all the support. We're actually really feeling the love out here in the deep drop, aren't we, Ads?
We are. It's been good. The interaction each week has been brilliant. Keep it coming because it fuels the fire, Luke. Not that the bullshit fire ever runs cold. No. But it's good. It's good just it gets us thinking again.
It does, and there's so much coming up. I know we've said that the last couple of weeks, but we've got some guests joining us over the next few weeks, Ads.
That's exciting. That's going to be cool.
For sure. We've got some live show planning happening, so watch this space. We're still getting that happening for live show number 2. That will hopefully happen sooner rather than later.
Yeah, working on that in the background.
And yeah, just more of the horseshit dribble that comes out of our mouths most.
Well, there's going to be some quality BS because where I'm noticing, Luke, that it's a little bit lighter later now. The smell of spring is almost there.
Yep.
Which means fishing season.
Oof.
Actually, fishing season doesn't stop. It means my motivation to go fishing again starts coming back.
Motivation season is nearly upon us.
So that should be pretty cool.
Now next week, Ads. Next week, we are both heading up to Queensland, sunny Queensland, for, of course, the AFTA trade show, which is going to be lots of fun. I think we might end up coming back with quite a few stories from that. So we might do an after wrap up.
That'd be good.
And I'm not talking about what's happening in the tackle industry. I'm talking about after hours wrap up. Let's talk about some of the shenanigans.
It's a whole podcast.
It might have a warning label on the front. But fuck it, let's go for it. All right. Thank you very much. That is us. Don't forget to tune in if you haven't caught up with all the episodes. There's 37 other ones. This is episode 38, I believe. And tell your friends about it. Subscribe. Jump on Instagram and follow. And yeah, keep in touch. Say hi.
Peace.